This is Riley Park, and this is the team behind Transcendence Rogue Frontier.
Yeah.
Yeah, so would you folks introduce yourselves?
I am Alex Chen. I am an independent programmer from San Diego, also a computer science major at UCR.
My name is Abdi. I'm also an independent programmer. I have no coding on this project. This is all Alex's work, but I'm here to support him.
Nice, love that. All right.
Yeah.
So this is Transcendence Rogue Frontier, and so first thing first, this is like, how do you describe it? It was like ASCII art type game, right?
It's just a programming project that's been going on for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a space game. It's a
Yeah.
fan game of this wonderful old space game by George Mizzato. It's called Transcendence. It's where you're a space-bound civilian in the 2400s, and someone's called you to travel away from home to meet a magical creature called Orcus. And yeah, the original game has 3D pre-rendered graphics and an overcomplicated engine. It's been described as a classic science fiction novel where everyone once tried to play God. And it's been in solo dev for 20 years, has a very niche but long-running following, and not many people have heard of it. But I have heard of it, and that's what matters. It led me into game modding and programming. This game is like that game, but I put it into this new aesthetic. That is ASCII art. You have these ships that fly around, and they fight each other and stuff. You're just, how do I describe it? ASCII art. Every character is a character, or should I say, every letter is a character.
I love that. I don't even
Yeah.
know how you would begin to start to make ASCII art as like your gameplay. How did you go about that? Like just everything is letters and characters.
I started with this awesome framework called Monogame, and that's a C# framework that lets you make cross-platform stuff. And I found a rendering engine called SAT Console. Basically, renders these letters in a tile grid. And yeah, not only it's not just a text renderer that uses an image font, but it also works as a tiling engine. Like just draw whatever you want to the screen. And yeah, this isn't made in Unity or Unreal or anything. It's all code.
Right.
A lot of code.
It seems
It's
pretty
like-
complicated to me at least. But it's very cool. I noticed like you've also got like your map. It's all like ASCII art and characters. You also got like a mini map in the top right corner, right? So that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
So since go for it.
Like this is your ship. This is my mouse. I'm using to control the ship, turn around, fly, and shoot weapons. And there are these enemy ships. They try to attack. I'm in the survival mode, so I basically fight ships. And yeah.
That's very cool. What kinds of things can players do in this game? So you're flying around, you're shooting other ships. It looks like there's some amount of like resources perhaps in the top left corner. What's like the goal of the game? What are you doing here? Help translate some of these things going on.
Up here is just fuel. You use fuel to power devices and fire weapons and such, and if you run out of fuel, then you can't do that. You have weapons, which, yeah, they have auto aim. You can fire them. You can auto aim them if they have that enabled.
Wow. Okay.
It's like a lot of this is taken from the original game.
Mm-hmm.
but put with a new twist on it. Like you have this menu.
Mhm.
It's entirely text-based. Really, so I could describe this better, but I don't know. You can view cargo. You can use items using this cargo menu. You can activate devices so they don't use as much power. You can turn them off, and yeah. And I had a lot of fun programming this.
It seems
Like,
it's like a lot of programming. Yeah, talk to us about that.
yeah,
I want to hear about this. So it's not using any engines. How like were there any challenges of doing that or?
yeah, there was some. Just it's like I had a program that's a space background using a randomly generated grid of characters and applying parallax math. There was a lot of vector math involved, like getting the background to render properly, getting this angle, like getting the ship to point at the mouse, like actually doing that. Also, here's even more interesting stuff.
Love to
You
hear
can
it.
zoom out
Oh.
and it will scale down the whole map
Oh my gosh.
as you zoom out. And I had a lot of fun programming that. I had a lot of fun designing this stuff,
Yeah.
like getting this text to show up at the right time and getting the weapon logic to work. Like
Mm-hmm.
this weapon can auto target, but not all weapons do that. It's just because this one is a turret.
Mm-hmm.
And programming this power system, like just calculating how much power you need and how much to drain from the reactor. It's a somewhat special function. Um, wait. There's a lot of stuff. It's like 16,000 lines of code, I think.
Gosh. Oh man.
Yeah.
And so like
I,
you're doing this all on your own. Like did you ever run into like a problem? You can't like just check documentation, can you? Or how did you like fix something if it breaks?
uh, let's see. SAD console. That's the library I use. I've run into several problems like handling the graphics and such. And sometimes I went to the developer of SAD console, who was a small community.
Okay, lovely.
And a very difficult part of this was getting save and load to work because I used a JSON library to automatically serialize the content into JSON, but then that ran into a lot of problems like bugs and things just not getting saved and usually crashing.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, why don't I get into the actual story mode first? I don't have much story implemented, but I have some content that you might find interesting.
Yeah, that actually
So
ties into a great topic of what comes next. Are you still working on this project? What do you want to do with it?
I'm planning to make this a future project, like a summer project. More people like Abdi going to like teach Abdi more programming stuff, and he can contribute to this game. Actually, let me introduce the actual story mode.
Yeah, go for it.
So we start at this ship selection screen. You have this ASCII graphic of the ship, and you have these descriptions like the Amethyst class yacht, more than just a middle class conspicuous consumption. is a well-rounded, multi-purpose starship designed for the everyday pilot. Here, your controls, it's somewhat complicated, and that's just because I like programming a lot of features in. And let's go to story mode.
Yeah. So
I just wrote, yeah. Sorry.
So I've already seen a little bit of this, and I can say like this is visually it's weird to say oh it's visually because it's like all text, but just the visuals here are like how did you do this? This looks so cool.
Oh yeah, getting this background stuff to show up. Actually, half of the dev time for this game went to just making a sprite editor program in this tile engine.
Oh man.
Yeah, I had fun doing that. It's basically you can draw a tile anywhere you want. You can set the color, like the foreground, the background, and the glyph. Each letter is a glyph. It's all, yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible work. If you didn't catch it, the Twitch chat, they're just like, "Oh my gosh!" Just I can see it like going past her. Just everyone's like, "Wait a minute, what?" And it's just every single part of this is so incredible because it just sounds like oh you've been doing a lot of this just on your own. Like it's not in like any engines. It's incredible to see that. So this is part of the story mode, right? And you've got like
Yeah.
you've just docked and you've got some story going on, right?
Yeah. And story mode basically an alternative interpretation of the source game. And the source game deals with all this magical stuff at the galactic core. You just talk with some people who already know about this, and then they give you training and prepare you to leave home to the core. And along the way, you might run into some factions that are fighting, lots of story content, which I
Very
haven't
cool.
really implemented yet, but it's in planning.
Awesome. So we're going to need to start wrapping up here, but this entire game is phenomenal. Do you have any last closing thoughts or statements you'd like to make? How can people check it out? Is there like a learning curve to all this information that they got to take? What you got for us?
There's somewhat of a learning curve because this game is so complicated. I like to be ambitious. I like to make big, awesome things and be creative, just be as creative as I can.
Well, you've certainly done that. Oh man, that's cool.
Yeah. I never put that much time into this other than it took a while to actually implement this. Most of it was just programming the engine. But
right.
yeah, and it's open source. You can find it on GitHub.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with us. This is super cool. This has been Transcendence Rogue Frontier. And this game, we've linked it, or we're going to link it in Twitch and Discord. Check it out. It's very cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next thing that's going to be coming up is Grim River's talk. Don't give me a reason to reject you, a recruiter's perspective. So stay tuned.